Great, fantastic. Let's talk about the 5 things you need to have, or the 5 things you must have before you approach wholesale vendors. Now, you might own an online store, or you might be in the process of trying to open an online store or a physical boutique or an e-commerce store where you want to sell clothing, accessories, shoes, kids clothing, handbags, makeup, jewelry, and things like that. And you might be looking for wholesale vendors. And I want to share with you 5 things that you need before you actually reach out to wholesale vendors and you're able to get access to buy wholesale. Because in case you don't know, before you're allowed to buy from wholesale vendors, you have to show proof that your business is legitimate, and you have to go through a sign-up process where you have to upload specific documentation. So in this video, I plan on sharing with you just 5 things that you should have in place before signing up for any wholesale website like LA Showroom or Fashion Go, or if you're going direct to a wholesaler, you're still supposed to have these 5 things, or you're still required to have these 5 things before you can gain access to their catalog, right? So thing number 1 is a business registration. Now, wherever you live, you are supposed to have a piece of paper that shows that your business is registered in your country. You're not required to have a business registration in the United States, right? So let's just say you live in the Caribbean like me. You're not required to have an American business registration if you're trying to buy from wholesalers in America, right? If you live in the Caribbean, you can register your business in Jamaica, in Trinidad and Tobago, in Barbados, wherever you live, and that document that you get, you can scan it onto your computer, and that is the document you're going to upload to these wholesale websites, right? Now, there's no workaround around this, right? Like, if your business is not registered, in the eyes of wholesalers, your business is not legitimate, right? And they're not going to give you access to shop their catalog. And a lot of people think that they can just create a Facebook page or create an Instagram account, and that signifies that they have a store. Listen, you do not have a business unless it is registered in your home country. And for details on how to register a business, all you have to do is Google how to register a business in the country that you live. So for example, you might live in Kenya. So you just go to Google and you say how to register a business in Kenya, and you will get search results that shows you step-by-step processes of how to register your business, right? If you live in the United States, I know within different states they have different requirements or a different process of how you go about registering your business. So all you have to do is a simple Google search to find out how to register your business in New York or how to register your business in LA, and follow the steps. Now, when you're registering a business, you are required to pay a couple of fees. So one of the things that you should have is money to be able to do these things, because it does cost money for you to register a business, register the name of your business. And it doesn't matter what you register your business as. It could be an LLC, it could be a sole trader, it could be an S Corp. That doesn't really matter. Just register your business, have that proof of that paper, that document, so that you can scan it onto your computer and upload that to wholesale websites. Alright, the second thing that you must have before you approach wholesale vendors is a seller's permit. Now, this is specifically for persons who live in the US. The US businesses, I guess, they require that their people have seller's permits. And if you don't live in the US, like you live in the Caribbean or you live in Australia or wherever else you live, whenever someone asks you for your seller's permit, you want to put international in that section, which basically lets them know, you know what, I'm an international company, I'm not from the US, and I don't have a seller's permit, right? Remember, seller's permit is only a requirement for persons who reside in the US. If you don't reside in the US, whenever you're signing up for a wholesale vendor or to shop from a wholesaler, wherever you see seller's permit, in that section write international in all caps, and this will basically let them know that you don't live in the US, right? You're an international business, right? And of course they're going to verify that when they see your certificate for your business, that your business is registered outside of the US, right? The third thing you should have before you approach wholesale vendors is at least 2 invoices from previous wholesalers showing that you have been purchasing for your business. Now, this is where a lot of people get super confused, because if you're a new business, obviously you don't have invoices showing that you've purchased from wholesalers. And if every wholesaler requires you to have an invoice, then you're never going to get an invoice. Do you know what I mean? So there are some workarounds. Like, I started my business when I was like, I can't remember how old, but it was 2014. That's like 7 years ago, right? Was it 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Yeah, it was 7 years ago. Wow. I started my online store 7 years ago. I was still going to college, and I was very confused by this step. Every wholesaler you approach, they're asking you for receipts, basically showing that you've been purchasing for your store before. And I was getting really frustrated because of course I don't have any receipts, right? So I figured out how to basically work around this. And so I actually did a lot of digging on the internet, and I found that there were a couple wholesale websites that gave you access to shop their catalog without requiring you to have a previous invoice. So one of those websites is called Wholesale Fashion Square. And the thing about Wholesale Fashion Square is they don't have a lot of trendy clothes. Their clothes, they sell clothes and accessories and handbags and things like that, but it's not things that I would run to buy for my store. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not excited about the things that they have on Wholesale Fashion Square. But of course you want that invoice. So what I did was I browsed through Wholesale Fashion Square, and I forced myself to find like about, I think it was like 3 to 5 things that I liked, and I purchased those things just so that I could have that invoice as proof of purchase. And I actually purchased from them 2 times, because remember, you need 2 invoices, right? So some wholesalers require you to have 1 invoice, others might ask for 2. I know 2 is like the bare minimum. So I purchased from Wholesale Fashion Square twice, and like I said, they don't really have a lot of trendy things, or, you know, things that will make you go like, wow, you know. But just to get that invoice, force yourself to find some things that you like there, and you could probably just have those in like a, I don't know, maybe when you launch your store. Maybe when you launch your store, you could do like a giveaway, or you can send those few things that you purchased from Wholesale Fashion Square to like influencers, and you know, in return for shout outs or things like that. But you can check out Wholesale Fashion Square and see what they have, and just to get that invoice, you know what I mean, guys? So that's a little workaround, a little tip that I have for you guys. You can check out Wholesale Fashion Square again, and you get your 2 invoices that you can later use on LA Showroom or upload onto Fashion Go to show proof that your business is legitimate. So a 4th thing you need before you approach wholesale websites is a credit card. Now, I know where I live in the Caribbean, like, our banks, our financial institutions don't just give out credit cards to any and anybody. So you have to have like a savings account, and you have to have money in that savings account, which we'll talk about next. You have to have money. You have to show that, you know, your business is legitimate. Like, basically, if you want to get a credit card for your business, you have to have all of the things that I just mentioned before, like you have to register your business, you have to have invoices and things like that, and then approach the bank and tell them basically I need this credit card to purchase from my store. And I know in the Caribbean we have like prepaid credit cards, so they will most likely give you a prepaid credit card, which means that the money on the credit card will be money that you have to load onto the credit card. So they're not going to give you a credit card with money from the bank. So it's not like a line of credit they're giving you. So it's like a prepaid credit card. You can transfer money from your savings account onto that credit card so that you can purchase internationally. But you just have to make an appointment and go to the bank and explain to them what you need a credit card for. But you definitely need a credit card, right? Especially if you're buying for your store, because you're not like LA Showroom and Fashion Go. You can't like do a bank transfer to each wholesaler that you're trying to buy from, right? You have to use your credit card, right? Right. So the last thing, thing number 5 that you need to have before you approach wholesale websites is, I would say, an idea of the type of clothes. Let's just say you're opening a clothes store. An idea of the type of clothes you want to buy for your store and the price point. So basically you need to understand like who your business is targeting and what the style and personality of your brand is going to be, because that is going to determine the type of wholesalers that you then approach, right? All wholesalers are not created equally. Like there are wholesalers who sell clothes that are very, very sexy. There are others who sell clothes that are for like young and contemporary, like teenagers. And then there are those who sell very like sophisticated clothes. Like one of my favorites is Latisse, and they sell like matching blazers and trousers, and it's just like bossy, classy. So anyway, before I go overboard on that, basically my point is to have an idea of the personality of your brand. Like have these things worked out before, because you don't want to like jump into this or get access to Fashion Go and then you're now trying to figure out, okay, what type of clothes should I sell? Should I like sell activewear? Should I sell kids? Or like should I try and sell everything? You know what I mean? So I would definitely say thing number 5 before you approach wholesalers is have an idea of who your girl is, or who your guy is, or who your customer is, right? And yeah, so let's recap those 5 things. So thing number 1, you should have register your business, guys. You should have your business registration. You should have a seller's permit if you live in the US. If you don't live in the US, always write international in that section. You should have at least 2 invoices, and you can get that from Wholesale Fashion Square. You need to have a credit card, and you need to have your branding worked out as well as your customer profile. Now, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Follow me over on Instagram, because I share a lot more business and marketing tips. And listen to my podcast. Yeah, I have a podcast. It's called The First Step with Jhalisa John. It's the #1 business and entrepreneurship. Okay, that's my son. So it's the #1 business and entrepreneurship podcast in Trinidad and Tobago. And where else can you follow me? Yeah. Leave a comment with any questions that you guys might have, and I hope you enjoyed this video.